Islamophobia.
Islamophobia.
Islamophobia. What is your favourite thing about the diversity in Manchester?
I really love exploring other people's cultures and traditions they have.
Despite this diversity, have you ever experienced any discrimination or prejudice?
As a Pakistani Muslim girl, I find it really hard to represent my own identity because there's so much stigma added around Islam. For example, if one Muslim in society makes a mistake, then we're all categorized in this one box, and it's really upsetting because I know my community is so welcoming to everyone. Even jokes made about 9/11 bombs, they really hurt us, and people don't understand the impact it has on us.
Is there anything you'd like to change about your experience?
I want more acceptance.
Do you identify as Mancunian?
Yes.
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 If someone was to ask me if I was Mancunian, I'd say yeah. But if someone would ask me what my identity was, I wouldn't specifically say I'm Mancunian, because I think for me, my identity comes to do more with my culture and my religion, not from the location where I am. But now if I actually think more about it, being Mancunian is a big part of my identity because it also brings a culture with it.
Do you love your home city?
I do. I love Manchester.
Yeah.
What's the best thing about Manchester?
The multiculturalism, the diversity. I love the cultures coming together in Manchester.
The city life is great. Lots of things to do here. Lots of places to visit and stuff. Yeah.
Probably the northern part and the fashion.
I think the best thing about Manchester is definitely the culture and diversity. And when I say diversity, I mean like the different types of food as well as people, because you've obviously got loads of cultures because there's so many different people in Manchester. And I feel like from British culture, like it has affected a lot, but in a positive way.
Do you worry about racism and Islamophobia?
Definitely, I do. Yeah. Definitely with the rise of the far right in recent years. Yeah, I think that's definitely an issue for our community.
I know that it's prevalent, but it's not a huge concern to me as I've never really experienced it too much. But yeah.
Personally, no, but I know people that do.
I do worry about racism because I think that it's becoming more and more like serious, especially with online. For example, if someone makes a joke online, everyone just joins in on the joke, and then it's taken more lightheartedly online. But then if the same joke was said in real life, it would cause problems. And I think loads more people are becoming desensitized to racist comments and think that is just normal now when it's not. And then with Islamophobia, because I'm Muslim myself, I personally haven't experienced any hate towards my religion personally, but I do know people that have. But then I think as well, from where I am is quite a posh area, so it's not as if I would experience it. So I think it really depends on the area you're within, really.
Does sexism worry you?
As a woman, I think sexism does worry me a bit, because within worrying, I think within jobs, because I have got told in the past, like from my own family, that some jobs such as marketing, a woman would be harder to get into that industry than a man. And I do think that is the same with a lot of jobs, and people still view women as not being as good as a job as a man.
Yeah, but it doesn't really affect me as a male, so I can't really speak on the issue. But yeah, I'm worried about the issue.
Do you think girls are treated fairly equally in the community?
No, definitely not. Definitely not. I think there's many times where girls are treated unequally.
In most cases, yes, but sometimes no.
No, I feel like girls are treated differently, and like I feel like as a community, especially Muslims, you should like support more women.
I think it has changed from how girls are treated, and people have become more aware of things you're not allowed to say to girls, because used to be like, I can't really think of an example specifically, but things used to be said and then it wouldn't affect boys but it would affect girls. And I do feel like within the area I'm in and the community, less sexist stuff like jokes, for example, would be said. But obviously I can only speak from my area and my community.
Do you worry about the language politicians use about Muslims?
100%. I think it's very, very harmful, and yeah, the language is very polarizing towards Muslims. So,
I do worry about how politicians do use language with Muslims. For example, I think online they use it very like secretly. So for example, with the Gaza war, obviously with Israel they put I don't remember the exact statistics, but they said this many people murdered, but with Gaza it said this many people killed, and it's literally the exact same, but from the way they've said it, from murder to killed, it does put victimizes other countries. And I think people don't understand the influence that these little words have, because obviously if I saw something that said murdered, it seems intentional. So I think that they do it very sneakily how they say it.
How does that make you feel as a young Muslim?
I think I personally don't experience many of the issues.
It can be considered offensive and degrading and stuff, yeah.
As a young Muslim, I do feel scared for the future, kind of, because I think the older generations has put up with a lot more racism and has dealt with it much better than us younger generations have. So I just think that it depends how our generation just kind of grows up. But I do think that people are more aware of Islamophobia and the effects it has, so hopefully that it does go down in the future.
Do you think voting is important?
100% voting is very important. Otherwise, how we ever have our say?
I feel like voting can be important in certain aspects. You need to have like a background of education personally.
Would you consider going into politics?
Yeah, I would. I'm very interested in it.
Me, I wouldn't consider going to politics in the future, but I do think it is really important that we are all educated with politics, because it is becoming a big factor of our lives at the moment, especially how loads of laws are changing, which is affecting the following futures of our generation.
What's the first thing you would do if you was Prime Minister?
Free Palestine.
Free Palestine.
I think one thing I would do if I was Prime Minister would definitely be to pay the primary sector jobs more, such as NHS, doctors, nurses in that, and teachers as well, because I do think that without these primary sector jobs and uniform jobs, that we generally wouldn't have a working community without them, and I think they are massively underpaid.
Are you optimistic about your future?
Yeah, I am. I'm optimistic, yes.
Would say I'm optimistic about my future because I know that I definitely want to go into media, because I used to think that at the start of college I was like, yep, I want to do law because I picked law A level, but then I realised that I'm not passionate about law at all, and I was just picking it because of the idea of doing law. But then I do realise that I'm more passionate about film, media making and expressing ideas through those films. So would say I'm optimistic about, I know what I want to do in the future and I'm very passionate about it.
Do you worry about the environment and what kind of planet you will grow up in?
100% I am.
With the environment, I do worry about pollution, because I do see many videos of how many animals and species are being cut off now because of how much we have polluted our planet. And I do see videos that's like, oh, you can't go back now, like we've done too much to our planet. So I really do think that to save our future planet from being even more polluted, and then obviously is going to get warmer, more ice is going to melt, I think all of us need to make a massive change to save that.
What do you think about the economy and young people's opportunity?
I think social mobility is slightly hindered after austerity in the UK, but I think there's a lot to be desired.
Stuff such as the job market, it's declining a little. It's harder to get a job nowadays and stuff like that.
I feel like there's barely any opportunities for young people these days, as the job market is.
I think with young people's opportunities, there are definitely much more opportunities. For example, Samosa Media, because obviously with my A-level course, media that I do in college, we don't do what I've learned in Samosa Media. So I have learned so much and more what I want to do. For example, physically making the films, how the film's made, and now I know what I want to do for it, which is script writing and assistant director and more the directing part. Then what I've learned in college, because we're in college, it's all theory and like the back structure of how movies are made and the industries, how it's distributed, and obviously that's not what I'm specifically interested in. So I do feel like with this opportunity of Samosa Media, it's massively helped me with my future and what I want to do, and helped me clear out of what I want to be. Because when joining Samosa Media, I thought I wanted to do set design or props, because I thought in my head that was the more easier thing to do and enjoy it more. But then it turns out through this I've learned that I literally want to do a whole different path to that I do enjoy way more.
Do you think politicians understand what it is like to be young and working class?
Definitely not. No. Not at all.
I do think some politicians do understand what working class experience is like from the areas they're from, but they don't understand as in they're related to it, if that makes sense. And I don't think politicians understand with the younger generation, because it's massively changed, especially with technology. Technology from the old generation to the younger generation has massively changed. So, and I don't think that is like well known to them.
Do you think racism is becoming more or less of a problem in Britain?
Definitely more of a problem in recent years. 100%.
I think racism is still a problem in Britain, but is not as significant. But I think in certain areas, again, that it is more known racism. But I think that compared to like years ago, like 30 years ago, I think it was bad then from what I've seen and known through videos. But I think at the moment it is not as bad, but then there is still a lot of racism.